and let us all do we can to build a better future.
My attention in regards to one of his colleagues, not here in America, but in France, as they confronted a member of the EU Parliament, and it has to deal with basically what is happening in Syria with the military involvement. Now, it is in French, so I urge all of you, I will be pausing it from time to time just to read it in case it's passing by all of you. But this is all happening as the French are mass striking in France right now. And it's just not in Paris. It's all over the country. On Monday's show, Connor Dorr and I we were talking about the massive protests that are happening there. Unions all across the country are rallying together, and this is in response to President Macron's policy in raising the retirement age. So let's go ahead and pull this video up. Again, shout out to Jose Vega. Be sure to follow him on Twitter. For those of you who don't know, Jose Vega and a lot of his colleagues heroically confronted a lot of these, fake progressive Democrats that are currently continuing on the neoliberal policies that are keeping all of us broke. So as you drive to work, take pride in knowing that all across the world, people are finally stepping up to their politicians and calling them out for the hack frauds that they are. So if you're listening to us via audio, I will be pausing the video, sometimes here and there, just so I could read some of the high points of this video. Now, the person, there is a Seymour Hersh, the American journalist, Pulitzer Prize winner. And this is in regards, he says, who accuses the White House of having destroyed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
Est-ce que vous voulez une enquête française et publique sur cette question-là? Parce que suivant la réponse, soit on est en train de soutenir le peuple ukrainien et la paix, soit on est en train de soutenir une guerre impériale, une guerre de domination de la Maison-Blanche contre la Russie. C'est totalement différent.
So now the activists calling out this politician is basically saying, hey, why are we involved in these regime change wars? Why are we involved in these conflicts in Syria? Look what's happening to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. It's quite clear that Russia didn't blow it up. And yes, the evidence is clear. I mean, let's be very clear here. Russia was benefiting off the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. They're not going to blow up something that's giving them money. And if there was some random rogue general that thought he was doing a big brain move and Putin found out, let's just say that guy ain't ever going to see the light of day ever again. So we all have seen the evidence. We've all seen the reports, and the narrative now slowly change. What's corporate media saying now about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline? Oh, that's right. Turns out, if it wasn't Russia, it was a pro-Ukrainian group. Well, gee, that pro-Ukrainian group just froze a lot of poor, innocent German and other European homes, because they need that natural gas to stay warm during the winter. Because, surprise, surprise, the winter can be pretty cold.
Alors, permettez-moi de reprendre, il y a une guerre impériale de domination qui est en cours, la Russie contre l'Ukraine.
Et donc, nous, on fait quoi?
Et m'étant rendu à Boutcha et ayant vu sortir les corps torturés de civils ukrainiens torturés par l'armée russe, je ne vous laisserai pas parler de guerre impériale des États-Unis en Ukraine.
So now the EU parliamentary member is saying, I will not have you talk about imperial war and America. How dare you? How dare you? That's what she's saying.
Excusez-moi, mais je n'ai pas d'humour sur le sujet pour le coup.
Vous ne voulez pas faire enquête?
Alors, maintenant, je vais vous parler de Seymour Hersh parce que ça a été très longtemps un ami. Est-ce que vous pouvez me laisser répondre ou est-ce que ma réponse ne vous intéresse pas?
Vous avez encore parlé.
Donc, ma réponse ne vous intéresse pas.
Monsieur, si c'est une réponse libre ou vous voulez une enquête, ça m'intéresse.
All right, and the activist is stating, I want an investigation. I want you to at least explain what is happening here, because there is some evidence that's now shining a light on the fact that the narrative of saying that Russia did something to the Nord Stream pipeline too, it's not adding up. The EU parliamentary member is saying, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
Alors, je vais vous répondre parce que
This is for the people who are on the road.
il se trouve que Seymour Hersh a été un ami personnel pendant des années. J'ai vécu 5 ans aux États-Unis pendant la guerre d'Irak. D'abord, il m'a présenté celui qui était le gorge profonde de Watergate.
And now she's going on to saying, well, I lived in the United States for 5 years, and now she's bringing up a Watergate. And first he introduced me to the man who was the deep throat of Watergate.
Oui ou non? C'était mon plaisir. Oui ou non? Monsieur, est-ce que la courtoisie fait partie de votre...
Oui.
Non, je ne
des
crois
gens,
pas.
vous armez des gens, ok? Des jeunes ukrainiens qui vont se faire tuer, des morts.
Monsieur, je ne sais pas si on m'a... Je pense
Est-ce
que...
oui ou non, vous répondez à la question. Vous êtes député.
Je vais vous parler de Seymour Hersh.
Pendant 3 ans, les USA ont pris des sanctions économiques pour empêcher la construction de Nord Stream. Un léger choix et une ingérence dans la vie européenne. Donc,
Monsieur, je sais que vous avez beaucoup de certitudes.
Non, et vous expliquez pourquoi. Mais répondez à cette question, c'est pas compliqué. Vous avez été à l'ENA, vous avez été directrice de l'ENA.
Je pense que votre question a été posée très clairement.
Now they're telling him to calm down. Please stop interrupting. But what he is saying is, look, the United States did everything it could to prevent the construction of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The activist then brings up to this parliamentary member, hey, there are young Ukrainians that are being armed, that are going to go serve in the front lines. And let's face it, in war, people die.
Et de manière extrêmement discourtoise, mais j'y répondrai quand même.
J'attends la réponse.
Vous n'avez pas l'impression que pour le moment, je peux pas en passer une.
Est-ce que vous servez les intérêts de la France et de la paix, ou est-ce que vous servez les intérêts d'une autre nation?
Monsieur, votre question a déjà été posée, il n'est pas nécessaire de la répéter. Et vous savez, comme le disait le grand Kabyle, ce n'est pas parce qu'on parle plus fort qu'on est plus raison.
J'ai plus de micro.
Now, of course, one of the handlers is saying, hey, just because you're speaking loud doesn't mean you're morally right.
Veuillez vous asseoir, s'il vous plaît. On peut voir, s'il vous
Est-ce que vous avez une
plaît.
enquête française
Monsieur, nous avons entendu, monsieur, s'il vous plaît, ne n'abusez pas à la possibilité de discuter tranquillement et sereinement. Merci, monsieur.
C'est une attaque militaire sur la zone européenne.
Non, j'ai une habitude au Parlement européen qui est une habitude de parlementaire, c'est qu'on prend la parole que quand il y a le silence. Alors,
Oh, wow. So now she's saying, no, we gotta use EU Parliament. We gotta be polite. We only speak when there's silence. Listen, hey, lady, listen, I've seen a couple of, this is terrible. This is terrible reference. So there you go. Kid, that's not factual. Why are you going to bring up this terrible reference? Terrible reference in 3, 2, 1. I've seen a crap load of YouTube videos of European parliaments going ham and crazy. Come on, lady. You know how politics is done in the EU. Y'all are ECW. I see people throwing hits left and right. We have all seen those videos. Come on, you know which ones I'm talking about. Where they just keep on fighting each other, spitting at each other, throwing pies. I mean, come on. It is classic. It is beautiful. I wish we had that in this Congress. But unfortunately, man, I think if someone threw like a mean left hook at Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell or hit a chair upside Nancy Pelosi's head, like, let's face it, a lot of our politicians belong in an elderly home. So it would be just one and done.
merci. Je reprends. Donc, Seymour Hersh a été un grand ami qui m'a fait connaître les photos d'Abu Ghraib avant qu'elles ne soient publiées. Donc, je sais ce que c'est que les États-Unis quand ils sont à leur pire. Vous me demandez si ce que Seymour Hersh a sorti.
So now she is she brings up what the evidence of Seymour Hersh. Again, we have seen the evidence, we've seen the articles, and let's face it, it is enough to where that lie from the neoliberal establishment media is no longer holding up. I've said this on the show, and yes, I've repeated this, but I want you guys to share this. You could tell a well-constructed lie for as long as you can, but the thing that all lies have in common is that they crumble and that they do fall apart. Remember that. Remember that always. All lies usually break. And she says, do I think that what Seymour Hersh has presented is credible? She says, and And again, the activist says, no, that's not my question.
Crédible. Donc, vous pensez que c'est crédible.
Est-ce que vous voulez une enquête ou pas?
He's asking, do you want an investigation into what happened to the Nord Stream pipeline to happen? And just so you all know, France is a permanent member of the UN Security Council. So is the United States, Great Britain, and oh no, I'm going to trigger the vote blue no matter who crowd, China and Russia.
Seymour Hersh a vieilli et je le regrette beaucoup parce que je suis en train de parler d'un
Vous
ami.
répondez pas à la question.
Je suis en train de répondre à la question, mais si vous n'aimez que les réponses par oui ou par non, vous n'êtes pas à la bonne.
Mais alors, je suis persuadé que vous n'allez pas répondre à la question.
Monsieur, votre
I'm actually impressed how long he is staying in here, because in the States, he would have been dragged out. He would have been dragged out or been shouted down already. So this is actually pretty impressive, because you know, I know Jose Vega and a few other activists. We played a couple of their videos. They're usually in there like 4 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe, give or take. I know that one was the AOC video. I think it's like 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes long, give or take. But this is actually pretty impressive. Anyone else? They're dragged out. They're dragged out immediately.
membre courtier ne m'empêchera pas de
On est puissance
continuer.
nucléaire face à d'autres puissances nucléaires. C'est quand même suffisamment grave.
Parce que je pense que peut-être que ce que j'ai à dire intéresse davantage le reste de la salle que ça ne vous intéresse. Donc je vais continuer.
Le même jour du 49.3, vous nous blatérez la démocratie. Donc j'ai quelques doutes sur la qualité de votre parole.
Monsieur, assez maintenant.
J'aime votre sens de la nuance.
Now he's starting to get booed. Now he is starting to be dismissed because he keeps on pressing the issue. Are you going to do an investigation to find out what happened in the Nord Stream pipeline? And again, with the destruction of that pipeline, it has caused an environmental disaster, because we've all seen pipelines here in the United States burst and leak. And that big old gas line between Russia and Germany, well, there's going to be some permanent damage to the ecosystem. It's just not only going to be to the water, but it's going to be to the fisheries. It's going to be to the economy. It's going to impact a lot of people's lives. So there you go.
Et votre capacité à
C'est ridicule, monsieur.
Donc Seymour Hersh, ça fait des années que malheureusement, à
And now she brings up the fact Seymour Hersh has been manipulated for years, unfortunately.
cause de son grand âge, il se fait manipuler. Il s'est fait manipuler par Bachar el-Assad. Je suis désolée, je ne suis pas d'accord. Donc je vous réponds, Seymour Hersh a raconté n'importe quoi.
Wow. And so then she says Seymour Hersh is full of shite. Shite. S-H-I-T, YouTube. That's what I said, YouTube. Come on, YouTube. I remember you used to be fun.
Je suis favorable à l'enquête indépendante qui est en ce moment menée par le Danemark, par la Suède et par la Russie autour de... Je suis en train de vous répondre, mais je constate que ça ne vous intéresse pas. Et donc, je vous dis que je suis favorable à l'enquête. Et maintenant, je vais vous demander d'avoir la gentillesse de quitter la
And now she's telling him to leave the room. Leave the room.
pièce, parce que je voudrais que d'autres que vous puissent s'exprimer.
Sans répondre à la question.
Mais je vous ai répondu, mais il se trouve que vous n'avez pas écouté.
Le Danemark, la Suède, l'Allemagne dépendent des États-Unis.
Et la Russie, et la Russie.
Critiquez la dépendance russe du pétrole gaz. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de la dépendance de ces pays-là au nucléaire américain?
Monsieur, vous n'avez plus la parole. Il y a une question ici.
And now they're telling him to be silent. Sir, you no longer have the floor. They want to dismiss him.
Donc j'espère qu'elle sera plus équilibrée et
Équilibrée.
différente.
J'aime beaucoup les questions
On a
provocatrices.
quelqu'un qui nous envoie, qui vend des livres sur la guerre. Elle vend des livres sur la guerre, elle envoie des armes à des jeunes qui sont tués. Je suis sûr que le général là a un meilleur sens de ce que c'est que la guerre que cette dame. Oui, et
Je vous permets de dire la même chose.
oui, je me casse. Vous faites tout chier là. Déjà franchement, on a des centaines de milliers de morts là en Ukraine.
Dans le domaine
Et
des
vous dites que vous les
monsieur,
défendez,
bonne
vous
soirée.
faites même pas le jour sur ce qui se passe et on prendrait une guerre nucléaire sans faire même une enquête française.
Est-ce que vous me donnez l'autorisation de poser une question?
Oui, je vous en prie. Alors, je sais pas si vous aurez une réponse.
Je sais pas.
And now they're saying, sir, this is enough. You must get out of here. I do find it funny that he says that, that he said that France is an independent nuclear power, which again, no, most of the European Union is kind of under the thumb of neoliberalism. You know where neoliberalism originates from, the good old US of A. And if not it, then we perfected it. Or our politicians perfected it, not the people.
Je vous signale que je vous ai répondu, mais vous vocifériez tellement que vous ne m'avez pas écouté. C'est un peu triste. Monsieur,
So let's go ahead and move on now to, and again, this is all taking place while there are massive protests taking place in France. So I want to pull up this video for Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on Twitter. He is wrongly being censored, unfortunately, because let's face it, the YouTube censorship is the Twitter censorship is all too real. So please support his YouTube and Odyssey page. Let's go ahead and play this video.
Protesters in multiple cities across France are demonstrating for a 10th day. All this against the government plan to raise the retirement age to 64 from 62. Earlier this morning, striking rail workers blocked train tracks to one of Paris's main railway stations. Union leaders are calling on French President Emmanuel Macron to put the reforms on hold and instead appoint a mediator. CNN Sam Kiley is in Paris this morning. And Sam, I mean, the scale of these demonstrations, also the damage, remarkable. Tell us what you're seeing there.
Well, Jim, you're joining me from the Boulevard Voltaire, where you can see there's at least 2 trash fires that have been ignited here at the front end of today's. This is an organized demonstration. In other words, one called by the unions, part of the widespread mass action in terms of strike action that they've called.
Now, for those you don't remember, we saw this bald-headed dude speak a while ago on CNN, but we played a couple of videos from CNN and BSDNC where they were saying, well, this is very interesting and confusing because many Americans just don't understand what's happening here. What is happening with these protests? And these protests are still ongoing. And it just isn't just one group. It is countless, hundreds of thousands, in the millions of people across this country protesting their president and his decision to raise the retirement age. Listen, people of France, in the off chance we have an international audience or somebody who watches Hard Lens Media in France, listen to me very carefully. I know an American's going to tell you something, but it's a warning. So listen to me. People of France, listen to me for 1 minute. In the United States, we have our health insurance tied to our jobs. The retirement age here in the United States is at 67. Hell, they're talking about raising it up even higher. We don't have any social safety nets. If you guys, you people of France, back down or allow your politicians to walk all over you, you will one day become like us. Now, you don't want that to happen. Hell, I don't want this to be happening to my fellow countrymen. So people of France, in this off chance that we have somebody who watches Hard Lens Media in France, you redouble, you triple, you quadruple your efforts to lay down the fire, lay down the fury of not backing down. Because if these politicians can raise your retirement age from 62 to 64, they could start taking away all your other wonderful social benefits. Don't believe me? Just look at America. Look at what's happening to the people here in the United States. We have 80 to 90-year-olds being greeters at goddamn Walmart and stocking shelves there. We got American citizens coming out of retirement because, let's face it, inflation's rising up. This country here in America, it is terrible. Retirement, owning a home, it's not just becoming a dream, it's becoming a legend. So people of France, listen to this American right here. If you don't back down, if you back down, they're going to take away more stuff from you. So keep on laying that fight out there.
For across France in protest against these economic reforms, the raising of the pensionable age from 62 to 64. But it also goes beyond that, because the reality is that here in France, in terms of the legislative process, the reforms are basically a done deal. What the unions now want is dialogue. Now, the government has offered dialogue, but not any kind of concession, and certainly not an agreement in advance of any kind of concession on that change to the pensionable age being at 64. Now, the Interior Ministry have deployed 13,000.
Yeah, There you go.
Extra police around the
Hold on. Rewind that again. I just want to see him duck down because that kind of shocked me too.
that change to the pensionable age being at 64. Now, the Interior Ministry have deployed 13,000 extra police around the country. Those are aerosol cans and other fireworks going off in the background, Jim. They deployed.
Come on, man. Fireworks, explosions. This is Europe. Remember that lady crying when the Ukraine war was starting off? She's like, I can't believe this is happening. This war here. This is Europe. Nah, man. This is Europe. First time Europe is heavyweight champions for this stuff. Come on, people. God, time to dust yourselves off. Time to get them explosions going off again.
13,000 extra police, 5,500.
And yes, that is the Cuban flag in the background.
Extra police and gendarmes here in Paris, the French capital. And that is because over the weekend, environmental protests, unconnected directly with this, turned very, very nasty. There was a lot of injury, both of protesters and of the police. And there's deep concerns that as night begins to fall here, things could get a lot more violent, a lot worse here in Paris. We saw quite a lot of violence last Thursday. There have been a number of demonstrations with 5,000 to 6,000 people. Unions here believe that this demonstration is probably smaller than the one seen last Thursday, but the energy of it is a little bit nastier, Jim.
No question.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that dude in the background. Love that dude in the background raising his fist up. There you go, buddy.
Listen, stay away from the booms. Sam Kiley.
Stay away from the booms. Shut up. Oh, shut up.
From Paris. Thanks so much.
All right. So what can we take away from this? Number one, first of all, again, everyone should be calling out in question what has happened to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Number two, I also want to be very clear here with this story. People need to remember that this political system we're in here in the United States, it's also affecting our friends and loved ones all across the world. Neoliberalism is all over the place. So people of France, stand up and fight for your right. Because if they could raise up the retirement age, who knows what else they'll take from you? Who knows what else they'll do? We do know that across the Western hemisphere, all this money's going to Ukraine for this ridiculous war. How did that pipeline blow up? Why are they raising the retirement age? What is going on? They want to keep everyone working. Smart enough to run the machines, but dumb enough not to ask questions. Keep asking questions, folks.